like my voice. When I couldn't hear it, I was sad.
Podcast and bloopers. Yeah. Um. Um. So we have a nonprofit and the church, which are two separate things. Um. So this is just space we rent for obviously podcasting,
Hmm.
counseling, meetings, etc. Then we meet up in one of the meeting rooms, man, on a Sunday,
All right.
and yeah, it's different.
Yeah. It's a new way of doing things.
Yeah. Now you're Muslim.
I'm Muslim, yes.
All right. So I'm from Philly,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
it's a
Oh, wow.
huge,
Yeah, yeah. I know.
but it's not. It doesn't seem that big here.
Not like in Philly. It's a different culture, different. They're kind of like it seems like they're more congested. Like it's like a more out there, more you can see them everywhere.
Oh, everywhere.
Yeah. Their beards are everywhere. The brothers are everywhere. I know. I was in Philly like maybe a year ago.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel good though. Like
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm originally from New York. And
Okay.
so when I was growing up, I went to the masjid at the masjid in Harlem. So every Sunday I'm from White Plains.
Okay.
But we used to go to Malcolm Shabazz Masjid, named after Malcolm X, in Harlem every Sunday. And so that's like a community, right? So you're used to coming into the masjid, and there might be 500 people at the masjid on Sunday. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so growing up, that's how I grew up every Sunday, every Sunday. And then, coming to Connecticut, the community is much smaller, of course. Much more diverse, too. That's another thing, because, when in New York, I was around pretty much black Muslims
Muslims.
all the time.
Yeah.
And when I say black Muslims, not necessarily the black Muslims, but as in Muslims that are black.
So one of the things about the brothers in Philly, and maybe you can explain this, is the colored beards.
Okay, the red beard.
The red beard, orange beard, or the yeah.
It's like reddish.
Yeah.
The color of the beard is something about like basically they're like more learned. They're basically saying that it's like it's like you have to know something to get a red beard. You have to be like able to recite the whole Quran type thing. Like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's
Oh.
a distinction.
It's visibly for people who are watching this. We haven't even introduced the podcast yet, but for people who are watching, it's visually distinctive.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I didn't know that was.
Yeah,
the reason.
so they're not just doing it for style. It's basically saying I have mastered something, and
Wow.
I'm showing you this is so it's clear. So it's like
So then, the other visible distinction that I've seen is the style of dress, right?
Uh-huh.
So the Muslims that I've ran into,
Yeah.
obviously looking sharp, right?
I appreciate it.
In Philly, there is, I don't know what to call it, like the whole long
And
length.
it's like a what is it called? It's not a hijab. It's a it's a style of dress, right? It's based off of
The Middle Eastern.
Middle Eastern.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
so the way I look at things like this is like it's culture, right?
Right.
So like what we're talking about is, this is an interesting way to go with the conversation because you think about America, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe that if I said I was from New York 20 years ago, I felt like that meant something. Like it means you're like from a place. This is what New York people do. This is how they are. And so the thing is that we're losing our culture. And so you have to go to somewhere like Philly to be able to see like African Americans who are Muslims taking on a culture of Al-Islam in a certain way that you may not see in Hartford, in New York, in California, down south. And so it's really like, and they'll have on the whole long joint with some Timbs on, right? Right? So they still
So Philly.
Yeah, they still
So Philly.
doing their, the thing, but it's like
Yeah.
it's like really the distinction to say, from a distance. Like I went to a school and did a presentation, and I've never seen this actually. I mean, in the school, the young Muslims, they were dressed up with the long outfits on, but they had their kufis like off to the side. You know what I'm saying? Like so, it was like they were still kids. But it's like that's the culture, and it's a true distinction about Philly. And so I appreciate that because one of the things I believe right now in our world, they're kind of like whitewashing culture. So it's like make everybody kind of like the same.
Same.
And you can keep sameness. So if you're from New York, like when I was in college, cats from Philly used to always wear their socks pulled up real high, right? So that was like a Philly style of how you wear your socks.
And the Muslims and some non-Muslims adopted this too. They would cut the jeans off and roll them up around the calf so you can see the white socks with the Timbs or the Jordans.
Right. So now once again, culture. So like a lot of culture stuff is going away, where it's just like Walmart, Target, whatever,
big box, like
all of that. That's it.
So how, and I don't even know how you quantify this. Like, how big is the Muslim community here
in Connecticut?
Let's say Hartford.
In Hartford, I would say, I would guess to say maybe like 1 out of every 7 people. It's a pretty large community.
And you're talking about the diverse community, not just the black. Yeah.
The whole Muslim community. I would say it's a pretty large community. Yeah. Okay. If you ever went to like a Eid event, which is like the celebration that we have after the month of Ramadan, there might be like 2,000, 3,000 people in that room, just to pray. So.
But so my line of questioning, I think, speaks to why we're having this conversation. So, let's introduce the show. Mm-hmm. This is Leadership Conversations, everybody. Dr. Clark here for Leadership Conversations. This is a show where we talk about leadership according to the world that matters to you. I'm here with a mover and shaker in Hartford, someone that if you are around on social media and just around the period, you see him everywhere. And I'm talking about Abdul Rahmaan Muhammad. Did I say that right?
Abdul Rahmaan Muhammad.
Yeah, I clearly didn't get that right.
Everybody messes up.
Sorry.
Yeah. It looks like Rahmaan, but it's more like it's like a Rahmaan. Yeah.
Okay. Can I just call you Abdul?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Call me Abdul.
Abdul.
Yeah.
So, Abdul, if you don't know, I think the thing that I know most about you, besides My People's Clinic, is the Dream Chaser, like that thing. But I think part of the reason I connected with that was because that, for some reason, I think that was a thing in Philly too.
Okay,
right?
It is Meek Mills.
So I can't put my finger on it. Duh. Yeah. Right. So the whole Dream Chaser, Meek Mill in Philadelphia, there it is. But let's get back to what we were talking about before we jump into the conversation. Me asking you about your faith community and the differences between what I saw in Philly versus what I've seen here, I think speaks to what I've noticed about Hartford and Connecticut, and that is, it's hard to find and learn about what's happening because the distinctive elements that highlight a thing, a culture, a people, a business, a group, doesn't exist here. In Philly right now, even though it's about to snow, you can go downtown and you can find the black Muslims selling their oil. Downtown Center City, Philadelphia. Yep. You can go throughout North Philly. Right now, last I checked, the black Muslims have congregated to major parts of North Philly / Germantown. I mean, just taken over and made their own community.
Right.
And like, who they are, what they do, what they're about, and what they're creating.
Right.
Here, I remember the first time I met a Muslim brother, but cool dude, didn't even know,
right?
Because for me, and I was just fresh, in the state. My visual, understanding of Muslims or some of the standards, like even you don't have the beard.
No.
Even those who may not wear the Middle Eastern garb, they would still have even if it's not colored, just the beard, because you knew the shaved head, the beard, it was a thing,
right?
In Philly, like it's hard to find what's going on in Hartford, man.
But so I think that one of the things that's interesting is that when you start, like I said, I think that in Philly that's a specific culture. I really believe that, and I believe that in other places, I think that if you're gonna say like Muslim, you have to start off with the realization that there's like 1 billion Muslims, right, in the world, and so if you take 1 billion people, none of them is going to be. You're gonna have to have diversity within that 1 billion people, and so it's kind of like really looking at it from that perspective. Is that I always thought that when I came to Hartford, I found that I think I actually got a better understanding of the reach and the capacity of Al-Islam than I did when I lived in New York. Because if you're just around Muslims that are African American, and you follow a certain leadership and all of that kind of stuff, that could be your whole experience.
It's true.
But now it's kind of like, every day I think about Muslims like in Palestine, and like they're dealing with all the different things with the Israelites, and then you got Muslims in places like in some of these Asian countries that you wouldn't even think about. A lot of the stuff between Pakistan and India, that's about Muslims and Hindis. You know what I'm saying? So I think now I look at it more like on a world view, as opposed, and really when you see people, you see Asian Muslims, you see Hispanic Muslims, it makes you kind of like say like, it's not just us, African Muslims, and so I think that's the thing is that, I really do believe you came from a unique environment, and I think so coming here, I think another thing in Connecticut, I think people are trying to like fit in, they're trying to, blend,
As a new person, I relate to that.
Yeah. But I think also if you went to like there are places where you could see somebody and you would definitely be like, oh, that's a Muslim. So, and there are communities, like in Manchester, there's a masjid and a whole community around that. There's different places. In Windsor, there's a nice community going. And so it's just like, I think it's like, if I pull back the veil, you'd be like, oh, snap. It's a lot more than I thought. It's just.
Is that a Hartford thing, a Connecticut thing, or are you saying just in general?
In general. If I just pull, okay. I think it's really about, like, you know what you know.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, all right, now come with me and let me show you something. And I think it'd be the same for you. You said, oh, you think it's like, only 8 churches in Hartford? And then you pull back the veil and it's like, no, there's 500 churches.
Like, so true.
I know.
So true. So true.
Yeah. So it's really one of those things. I think it's just if you started focusing on it for a week, you would all of a sudden start seeing, I think, more representations. Not necessarily like Philly, though. I really believe that is a truly unique thing. And I'll tell you one of the things that does, from a Muslim's perspective, it's just like anything, though. I don't know if Christians feel the same way about this, because when you're in the majority, you may take it for granted. Mm-hmm. But it's like walking in a room and you see somebody and you already know you got a friend immediately, right?
Right.
Because you have that one thing in common. So if I say my name is like a detector, like bing, you don't usually have a name Abdul, Rahmaan, Abraham, and Ben Muhammad. That's not.
That's your full name?
Yeah, that's my full name.
Okay.
So it's not like, you know what I'm saying? No, but if you say that name, if I'm not a Muslim, what the heck, And so ultimately, but if there's another young Muslim, I go out and, I speak and do different things with kids all the time. And so these kids sometimes are in schools in like South Windsor or wherever, and they're by themselves.
Wow.
And then here I come in and it's like, hey, okay, that's somebody that, so.
Yeah, I get it. But, so to the point you were saying about pulling back the veil, I think what I appreciate about any videos, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
what does that stand for? Northeast?
No, any video stands for any video. New England Video.
Is that yours?
No, I
thought that was yours.
I'm just the pretty face of the brand.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm not. The owner of any video is Alonzo Beckett. Everybody.
That name sounds familiar. Who's that?
I can show you. See, Zoe, the greatness of Alonzo Beckett is, if you think about it, the fact that you don't know who he is kind of what he wants in a way, right? He's the man that does everything. He does the videos. He does the editing. He does the show
Hispanic
creation.
dude?
He's black.
Why does his name sound familiar, though? It's weird.
You should know this man. You should have him on your podcast. He's definitely.
Can you connect us?
Yeah, I can connect you immediately.
So as an outsider, I swore down. Oh, it's yours.
No, but like I said, we work together very closely. But I have no share ownership. I do not get paid from any video.
Support another black man.
We support each other. That's how I operate.
Did he produce the new show about the marriage and the okay.
That's all the show. The Love Notes?
The Love Notes, which I thought was dope.
That's his idea. I think that show was in collaboration done with the Northern Agent. I think it was the Northern
Is
Asian.
that yours?
No.
Okay.
The Northern Asian is owned by Sasha Allen.
Okay, look,
but you may
man.
see me in there a lot
Bro.
too. That's another connection. These are people I love.
You gotta connect me.
All right. Definitely.
All right, so let's go back.
Yeah.
The reason for this comment. So when I moved here, one of the things I did, and I think this is helpful for anybody moving to a new area, I had no family or friends here. Like
Right.
we moved here because we wanted to raise our kids here. We felt called here. This was years ago, but we actually pulled the trigger probably 4 years ago now. So I scoured social media just to see who was who and what is what.
Yep.
That's a good and the bad thing.
Right.
So you popped up in a number of ways, but the most prominent way for me, for someone wanting to understand what's happening in the community in a way that I didn't know, was through NE videos, right? And just the spotlights that you do on small businesses. Take us behind the scenes. Tell us how it got started, how you got involved, why do you do it, and what value have you kind of gotten from that on behalf of the community?
Yeah, that's great. So basically, for years, Zoe and I used to just do videos. You talk about the Dream Support Network, Dream Chasing. So I would always just do I'll do a motivational video, I'll do a workshop, whatever. I have Zoe videotape.
Like you're doing this podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Of course. And so we'd be doing our thing. And so at a certain point, we started having a bigger idea. And so we started saying I'd be like, Zoe, man, you could put out a show in no time. You're the best editor. We were just talking. And so we start saying, you know what we should do? We should just create our own show. And so it starts off with, I do a show called Good News TV.
Okay.
And so, because I was watching the news a lot, and the news is always negative. So I would get on and I would just sit there, tell good stories.
Right.
Then we did Good News TV. Maybe we do 5-7 episodes. Then I did a show called Dream Chaser TV. And so I started interviewing different people. So we kept doing shows. We'd do 5 or 7, stop. Then we decided to do Walk and Talk. And Walk and Talk basically blew the doors off everything because we did Walk and Talk. I think right now we probably have 50 episodes of Walk and Talk, And so we started doing the Walk and Talks. And then, of course, Walk and Talk turned to Eat and Talk. We go to restaurants. Eat and Talk turned into Speak and Talk, Speak and Eat. So basically, it's just two guys. We talking. He come to my office. We're talking. We come up with, hey, Zoe, we should do Community Spotlight. And so Walk and Talk, Community Spotlight is just Walk and Talk sitting down. You know what I'm saying? That means we're not going to walk. We're just going to sit there. We're going to go to somebody's business.
Yeah.
And so all we do is just, I have I always call myself an idea man. And what I try to do is surround myself with people that can get things done. So he's a great video artist and he loves doing it. This is stuff he does because he loves to do it.
And shout him out one more time.
Any video, Alonzo Beckett, you got to get him on the show. If you need a video, it ain't any video, it's NE video. That's his tagline. So at the end of the day, it's just really friends that kind of keep working together so much. And I mean, we're friends mostly because we work together all the time.
Yeah.
And so we started doing the shows, and it was the thing about business is that, especially when you're a small business, nobody is usually shouting you out. Nobody is giving you an opportunity to be interviewed. Nobody's giving you something you could be able to put on your website or share on social media. The funny thing is, I would say half the people we interview, they don't share their stuff either. It's almost like they don't understand that it's really a 10-minute advertisement for what you're doing. So if somebody like yourself sees it, it allows them to say, you know what, I'll try that business out.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so what we were doing is just trying to highlight Black people, Latino people, some white people that are doing good things in our community and being able to give them a voice where they don't necessarily have one.
Man. But I think that there's value in that from a marketing standpoint, obviously from Alonzo's perspective, but for people moving into the community, it's interesting to me that the more people I meet, the more I realize that, this state is made up of a lot of transplants.
Oh, yeah.
And it's easy to feel like you're the only one.
All right.
You're the only one that made the sacrifices to move here. You left everything behind, starting fresh. And There's more people like us, right?
Right.
But NE videos, or at least the ones I caught on to in the past handful of years, has provided me insight with what's happening because I'm obviously working, moving here, moving there, doing what I got to do. I don't necessarily have time to stop and explore
Right.
the community spot where I can get a good piece of chicken
Right.
or
Right.
or a smoothie
Yes.
from I think is
Juicy J's.
right.
Or the one in New Britain. What's it called? The brother, he was in jail for like 20 years, and then he got out and he opened up a juice spot out there too. I can't remember the name right now.
Or even like a spot like Hot Pots.
Hot Pots.
So
Yeah.
so driving to church, I'm like, what is that? Right? It's Hot Pots.
Just gotta go in there.
Right. You got to go in there, right?
Yeah.
And for people who are new, you don't know to
Right.
go in there because you're used to. This goes back to living somewhere else in the Philly thing. We know our hole in the wall spots in Philly.
Right.
But the only familiar things we know here in Connecticut are kind of the big box
Right.
regulars.
Right.
It's people like you, man, who and Alonzo and others who are exposing, even AJ, right? When he does
Small business
night out.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like you need that. Like
Yeah.
there's a whole lot of value in that.
There is.
How can people get in contact, like to get their small business, on the spotlight out there for the community to be aware of?
Just hit us up on Facebook. Go to the
Just
indie
like that.
video page. Hit us up. Hey, I'd like to be on Small Business Night. I mean, not Small Business Night. I'd like to be on Walk and Talk or Community Spotlight.
Great.
Can you feature my business? We'll set up a time. We'll come out and interview them. Simple
that
as that.
simple.
Yeah, it's not like all the people that you've been mentioning. Like you've mentioned a few people. Zoe, you mentioned Sasha, you mentioned AJ. These are all like very accessible people in our community. They're not like I mean, at least from my perspective, they're all people that would welcome anything, conversations, collaborations, and different things like that. Now, of course, I've known especially Sasha and Zoe for like many years. I know AJ pretty well. And so it's like really one of those things where I believe that I always tell people, I believe Hartford in particular is like a practice state. I look at it as a place where you could actually try anything here and you could give it a shot because it's small enough where it's like, even if it fails, it doesn't matter. It's like, so it's kind of like really getting yourself a chance to say, you know what, I want to start this business. I want to open up this and try a clothing line. I want to have a restaurant, whatever. It's small enough where, okay, so I'll give you a perfect example. I used to have a place called the Dream Support Network. I do my business, right? But I said, I'm going to open up a spot. It was kind of like a precursor to like when people, how now they have the co-working spaces.
Yeah.
So I had maybe 8 years ago, I had opened up one in Vernon. And it was 1,000 square feet. I had some tables, computers, Wi-Fi, whatever. And so the thing about it was, even though I live in Vernon, the people I deal with live in Hartford. And so it was a bad location. But at the end of the day, I opened it for 6 months. It didn't work. I closed it. And boom, that's it. And so the whole thing is I'm a person that believes that you can go on a journey here and you don't lose your shirt. At the end of the day, I might have invested a good amount of money into it, but it's a lesson. It's like you can't put your home base in a place that's not your home base. If you're dealing with people mostly in the city of Hartford, you got to have something in the city of Hartford. So
wow. So let me reaffirm the statement you made about Hartford, the place where you can test ideas. I've heard that since I moved here.
Yeah.
So I work in the nonprofit space, and for 4 years I've heard that from funders, because Hartford is not too big where it's difficult to find who's who and what's what.
Nope.
But it's small. It's not too small either.
Right.
So it's that perfect size where you can test ideas from entrepreneurial standpoint. And I guess my contribution to that statement is, and receive national spotlight recognition for your work to see if national resources can come in and plug into what you got going on.
Right.
So I'm hearing that on a regular basis too. So, I ask this question to a lot of people as they come on the show, and I'll ask you this too. How do you define leadership?
Oh, well. So at the end of the day, this is how I look at leadership. Leadership comes down to being willing to go first. That's it. Being willing to go first with like the idea, with Think about when you're trying to do something for the first time, right? Or you're gonna go start something. Leadership is like being able to say, I have this vision, I have this idea, and I'm gonna go out here and do it. And then the bigger piece is I'm gonna bring these people with me. I have to. So I don't know if I'm giving you a good definition, but I'll give you my view on it. I feel like every day, my job is to sell my staff on what we have to do. So, and I'm talking about my people right now, right? And so, at my people, our mission is to enable my people to help your people, so our people will succeed.
Now let's be clear, My People's Clinic.
My People Clinical Services, right?
Yeah.
And so that's our mission. This year's theme for our agency is win, right? And so you say, well, why would a social service agency have a theme like win? But when you start thinking about people's lives and stuff, I want to see people win in their lives. I want them to change their lives in a way where they feel like they're a winner. And so the leader is the person that has that vision to be able to say, you know what, this year we're going to win. And not just I'm going to win. See, like the whole thing is like, I don't care. If I win, I assume I'm going to win. I assume I'm going to win. My thing is that the leader is the person that wants to see my people win. And now I'm talking about my people as the whole, right? The whole my people.
Right.
So it's like that's leadership to me. I feel like I'm gonna be good. Abdul is gonna be good. But can I get William to win? Can he be good as like me? Because I ultimately believe that I'd be better if we're both winning than if I'm just winning. To be honest with you, it's no fun to be the only one winning.
No, it's not.
It really isn't.
It's not.
Because it's like
Jay-Z said it recently on Meek Mill's album.
It's
like,
terrible.
That you're broke if you're only winning your team rich.
And so a leader is a person that says, yo, this is where I'm going. This is where I am. Hey, why don't you come with me? Why don't you, hey, let me show you how to get to this next level. Hey, let me give you this opportunity. And then the other thing about a leader is you put people on their own path too.
Yeah.
So you position people. So like I got knowledge on certain things. If I wasn't a good leader, I would. So some people, they want to hoard it, right? I ain't telling you nothing. I worked hard to get here, right? That's not leadership. No. Leadership is I'll tell you anything I know, I will tell somebody. Anything.
Facts.
And it's like the reason why is because I understand that to get to a location is not a straight line. You know? Mm-hmm. So if I tell you, I say I started my business this way, boom, 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 and then you say, oh, okay, I'm going to do exactly that. That doesn't guarantee you're going to get to where I am.
No.
So I can tell you anything because your journey is your journey anyways.
That's right.
And so it's about exposure and learning. So that's my long non-definition.
Let's dig into this, dude. So I define leadership as the ability to influence people.
I like it. Yeah.
All right. And at the end of the day, it takes something unique and special to influence folks. Mm-hmm. Because everybody has a different thing that motivates them, that causes them to do what they do. And without understanding that intrinsic motivation that's going to pull somebody from where they are or push somebody from where they are or inspire somebody to do something that they wouldn't consider before, it's hard to lead. Mm-hmm. I want to respond to the last piece of what you shared, which is, you talked about the freedom to share information. The only requirement I have is just ask me. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't see the value in hoarding information.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, like what good does it do for me, like you said, to be the only one winning, to be the only one with this? What, I'm going to corner a market on podcasting? Like, come on, man.
Right. Right.
Exactly. Come on, man. Like, information is out there. Obviously, I figured out how to do what I'm doing by searching. You can do the same thing. So what good does it do to not share?
Right.
And what I've learned, Abdul, is that by me sharing, and I believe this as a philosophy, it's an opportunity to teach. Mm-hmm. And what people don't see about teaching is that teaching is another learning mechanism.
Right.
It's almost like you're emptying your reservoir, mm-hmm. and you need to refill it.
Right.
So you give out what you got and learn new stuff that's going to make you and your business better.
Every day.
It actually benefits you.
Yes.
So that's what I've learned. I mean, and so as you kind of taking on that philosophy, how have people reacted to what you shared? Have they followed through? Have they taken you up on your info? Have they, oh, that's good, and did nothing? Or did they run with it and amazing things happen? Like, what have you seen?
Some people do and some people don't. It's like, I'm at least once a year I meet somebody who maybe for like 6 months they'll be rocking with me, you know? And so just rocking with me. Like I meet all types of people.
You the man today. Yeah.
And so, but it's like, I believe in reasons, seasons, and lifetime people, so I'm like
seasons and lifetime.
So some people come in real quick, other people come in for, 6 months, and other people, they'll be around anytime I call them. And so it's really one of those things where, I'm quick to tell somebody something.
Yeah.
Whether or not they listen to me I don't get caught up. Certain things, like one of the things I don't do is this. This is the kind of leader I am. I don't deal with anything like I don't know about. Like I'll tell you right now, like everybody gets paid every 2 weeks at my people, right? I don't know how they get paid. I don't have any idea. If my wife stopped doing payroll and with the company, I don't know how I would have to figure it out because I couldn't tell you who to call. That's not my area. I focus on vision. I'm a big idea person. I don't focus on payroll. I don't focus on where the stamps are. If I need a stamp, I'll give it to the administrative assistant. She does the stamp stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so ultimately, I feel like if you catch me, I'm on podcasts all the time. Like to me, my life's a podcast. So I'm telling you, I'm speaking to the people all the time.
Right.
And so it's kind of like, take it or leave it. I'm just speaking. I'm just telling you what I feel. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm the great Abdul. Nope. Hey, this is my idea, man. This is what you should do. And I'm serious about it. Like, I believe in people before they might believe in themselves.
Yeah.
You can do this, man. This is going to be great. You're awesome, right? You're not going to do it? No problem. I'm off to the next conversation with the next person anyways.
But I think we need more people to downright steal this advice and do something about it.
Right. I don't have to steal it. It's free.
All right. So we need more people to take this free advice and do something about it because I think Hartford, for all the fitting in that's happening, needs distinction. Now, some will argue and say certain folks, are being distinctive and doing distinctive things, and you can argue, maybe. But, I think that there's a need for more diverse offerings.
I agree.
Right. So this is a segue into My People's Clinic. Tell us what My People's Clinic is. What's it about? What it does? Why you started the whole nine?
So My People Clinical Services is a human service agency here in Hartford, Connecticut, founded in 2005. Basically, what we do is when we started, I was doing a fatherhood program. That's what I started the program.
You did fatherhood?
Yeah. So I created a program called the Father to Father program. And the reason I started My People is that I just never was a good employee, right? I used to have a job, and I always felt like I should be in a leadership role. My father was a social worker as well.
Yeah.
He was like a senior vice president at the Village for Families and Children. And so I always saw myself as like I could run something. An entrepreneur. I wanted to run my own business. And my field of, I feel like, expertise or what I care about is people. And so I also was a young father. So, I always, like when I was in graduate school, I wrote my graduate thesis on fatherhood. So I had a lot of information about fatherhood. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to create this little brochure, picture of me and my daughter on the cover of it. And we're going to do a fatherhood program. We're going to do the Father to Father program. And so What one thing about me is I'm an opportunist though, and so
that's not a curse word, y'all.
No, that's a good thing. So when I started the business, and I would be pitching my fatherhood program, and one day I'd just be talking to like a DCF worker, and they say, "Man, too bad y'all don't do mentoring." And this happened like within the first 2 or 3 months of me starting my business, and so when he said it, I'm one of those people that when like you ever watch the movie The Secret?
No, but I read the book.
Okay, so you see the movie too, though.
Okay.
It's like there's a part in the movie where something happens, but the person, it's almost like if we were talking right now and you lit up. And it's like, that. So I see things like that all the time. People be talking, and it's like a word will be emphasized for me. It was like almost like I could see the word, you know? And so he was like, man, too bad y'all don't do mentoring. And it just stopped. Boom. It was like boom. And so I was like, yo, I'm about to do mentoring. So the next time he saw me, I started having these mentoring. And so my people went from, in March, I started in March 2005. By June, in March 2005, I started my people. I had a job at the Village. I was mentoring for somebody, and I had a job at Hartford Communities That Care with Andrew Woods. These are all the places I worked. By June, I had quit the Village. I had quit Andrew, and I was only doing my people. By December, I had 100 staff because I was hiring all types of people to be mentors.
Now.
I don't even do mentoring anymore, by the way. Okay. So the thing is, what I'm saying to you is that the bell went off,
right? And
I just take action. I didn't say, how do I hire people? I didn't say, what's the proper procedure? I just said, I need some staff right now. I put up a shingle. I put the word out in the community, and one person told another person, and within 6 months from June, we had 100 staff of my people. Now, the next year, I had to go back and do I had to let go some people because they had backgrounds.
Yeah.
We had to get the process better. But
clean up.
Since my first year in business, I've never had less than 70 staff. You know, and it's because I always move at the pace of, there goes the opportunity, let me go.
Moving at the pace of opportunity.